Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
None of us love change. Well, the most of us, sometimes there's a little fear of change and trepidation when there is something coming up. And that also includes transition in your life. A lot of us kind of put that block up, but sometimes you're in the river and it's going to take you no matter what. And there's going to be change. And now you have to transition into another part of your life. We're going to talk about that today, specifically for women and with an eye on women who are in the military or who have left the military, potentially transitioning out into civilian life or just in another direction. She is somebody that helps those women in many different areas in terms of coaching and walking that journey with them because she walked it, a lot of it alone. That's why she's helping others. Renea Jones Hudson is back with us. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Hi, Steve. It's so good to be back with you today. Thank you again for having me. This is exciting.
Wonderful to have you back here. And this is so important where many of us, men and women, sometimes feel alone when there's a change in life, no matter what it is. You leave the military, you get released from a job, you have a divorce, there's a passing, and then everything changes. Empty nester. There's a transition. And a lot of times it's uncomfortable because you feel alone. Do you hear that from people that you work with?
I do. And, even though I primarily focus on military, I do have other business partners that are, they're not prior military and that transitioning from the corporate world, it's the same. It's the same emotions that we all experience, especially if you're coming from a high level. It can be really tough in so many ways, specifically asking for help, thinking you're the only one going through what you're going through, feeling alone in the process and feeling like there's no support. So, yes, I hear it quite often.
Hmm. And we're going to dig deeper into that, but what's your initial advice to somebody that finds themselves in that transition phase where maybe they know the direction they're going in, but there's fear, or that's unknown. I don't know. Got to change here. Sometimes it's a sudden change, and you're not sure where to go next. What's your initial thought?
So my initial thought is to encourage that person is just to acknowledge where they're at, because it's uncomfortable and it's scary, and to acknowledge that, and then truly to seek the support. If they're spiritual, I pray and but then I still do some work behind the prayer, try to find out, get with other people to see, okay, how I can get supported in the direction that I want to do. The other thing I would say to that is, if you don't know what you want to do right away, just kind of explore different avenues, write down some things that you may have put aside while you were in the military, or while you were on your corporate job, or wherever you're coming from, and then start going to different events, meeting with people outside of the box for you, like, because you never know where you can find your next pursuit, your next passion.
Yeah. Now, somebody may be dealing with the same thing, can connect you with somebody else. Do
Yeah.
you find that many of us try to process it in our mind? Okay, I'm leaving this, then I'm going here. This emotion crops up. There's so much going on that you can't do it all here. You have
Yes.
to write it down, see it in
Yes.
front of you so that you can organize your thoughts. I believe we don't put a lot of stock in doing that. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. Because I didn't at first.
Yeah.
I didn't at first. I literally tried to process everything internally in my mind, and it actually got me sick. So, it is good to really push those things out,
Mm.
whether it's on paper, whether it's talking to someone else. And I think, especially for me, if I'm when I was doing it in that way, it was because of, coming from the leadership role as being a captain, and finding myself at a place where I'm just somewhat lost. It was a pride thing, it was a pride thing. Like, I should know how to, why do I feel this way? Why am I here? How can, why can't I do what I did in the military? So I do agree with you to really, I would say it's a skill. If you don't already have it, it's something you have to practice doing, just writing things out.
Can you give us maybe a backstory of somebody that you encountered that's going through transition, even somebody that was in the military?
Yes, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. We were stationed together, I think in 2002, and she was driving to her new job. She just got a job, and she elevated to one of the highest ranks on the enlisted track. So we were just having conversations, and she did not work initially when she came out of the military. She didn't have a job. She just kind of, took her time, but she found herself like just getting lost in and just feeling lost, feeling like nothing, just really beating herself up because when she did apply to different jobs, they told her she was overqualified. She
Mm,
she just got denied. She got denied for 3 jobs. Being at that executive level, that's a blow. It's a big blow to your ego.
yes.
Definitely knowing that you are capable. So, she said she just pulled back and said, you know what, maybe that job wasn't for me. And and then the right one found her. But she said, just going through that emotional roller coaster, those feelings, she just felt so low. And I was like, I know exactly where you are, because that was one of the reasons I created a program called TAPS Beyond, it was called TAPS Beyond the Service, Transition Assistance Program Beyond the Service, because there are some gaps that I thought needed to be filled for soldiers coming out. So I created that. I had a bunch of professionals come on, and they were all veterans. So I had them come on and kind of show that, look, despite what we're going through, despite what we've been through, we can still thrive post military.
So we better understand all of this. Can you give us examples of some of those things that those transitioning from the military into civilian life deal with? Because the perception could be, you're working for the government. You got it. They're taking care of you. You're good. It's not always that, right?
No, it's not. One of the biggest things is translating your military skills to civilian, so that the civilian employer can understand what it is you do. We have a tendency when we have our NCOERs, which are non-commissioned officer reports, and OERs, officer and reports. We have those, and sometimes many of the soldiers will extract some of the verbiage from there, but it's a different language. Right? So I bring that to you as a civilian employer, like, I really don't understand what all of this is saying. So I think one of the biggest things is translating military skills and really, putting that on a resume so that the civilian employer can understand.
Mm.
And I think in her case, what her challenge was that they thought she was overqualified, like they couldn't pay her enough to do all of these wonderful things that she had listed on her resume. So it's and then the other thing is sometimes we may be like civilian employers may think that we cannot work with a demographic because we're so used to doing the military. Say,
Mm.
how can you work with this young population, when you're this age, not knowing that I've led people who were older than me. I've been in charge of, civilians that were older than me in the military. So we can maneuver those those age gaps and those generational differences, because it's kind of something we're taught to do.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can get pigeonholed into one situation where
Yeah,
somebody thinks, let's say in the military, you had this one role. Well,
yeah,
you're capable of this, but other employers might see it
yeah,
this. And
yes,
I spoke with a friend recently who got that that word from a potential employer. You're overqualified. Meanwhile, he
yes,
said, "Yeah, the salary was okay. It was kind of in the middle, but he said, I would totally take it. It was fine.
Yes.
It was a interesting opportunity, something different. The employer looked at it as overqualified, probably thinking, nah, why are we going to invest our time and effort into this person? Because they're probably just going to leave after a period of time. He
Yes.
wasn't even thinking that. And
Yes.
it was a, it was a creative position,
Yeah.
but very defeating. Like it's,
Yeah.
so what?
It
You're
is.
overqualified. Take them.
Yeah, and it is true because like what my friend and I were talking about yesterday is, when we were in the military, we had a focus, we had a purpose. It even though it may not have been our, personal focus, but we had a mission. Now, when we get out, we have to create that for ourselves. Now, what is our purpose? What is our mission that we're trying? What target are we trying to get to for ourselves?
Hmm.
So it's like, like you said, your friend, like we probably would take a job because it's different, not because we may think we can outperform on it. It's because it's something way out of our wheelhouse,
Yep.
or outside of what we're normally doing. So, yeah.
For somebody that's in the military, just to better understand all of this, do they are they focused on what they eventually want to do? Like, for example, somebody goes to school, it's a major, they have an idea of, this is, I'm going to be a oral surgeon, whatever it might be. Or is it you're in the military, you have a specialty, but the majority of those in military aren't exactly sure the direction they want to go in when they leave? What do you see overall?
I will say for me, that was the case. When I first joined the military, my whole purpose was to go to school. Um, I was not mission focused. That came later.
Hmm.
But with the military too, you are exposed to so many different things, so many different careers. Like I used to drive a forklift, I used to drive a 18 wheeler, like all those things. I'm not doing that now. That is not an interest, but you are exposed to so many different things. So when I got out, even though I had a master's degree in criminal justice, um, I'm not doing that now. I did that course at a time where I thought that was really what I wanted to do. So I think we go through so many different
Hmm.
ideas or things that interest us, and we're like, you know what, I'm gonna get a degree for this. Then you get out, and then like me, I'm a coach. So it's I don't think, and I'll speak on my behalf because I did not know exactly what it is I want to do. I literally found my calling when I left the military service, and that didn't come right away
Hmm.
either. That was a gradual thing as well.
So that being said, curious, and we never talked about this as far as I can recall. Why did you join the military?
So I did join the military to go to school. So I was, being an immigrant, one of my wildest dreams when I was in Jamaica, I would see college kids and,
Hmm.
kids going to college. And I wanted that experience. I wanted to have that experience. Misinformation got me. Someone told me that I couldn't go to college because I wasn't a citizen at the time. So I had a green card, but that was misinformation. So I was in high school, and the recruiter was right there by our cafeteria, and he said, "Join the army, go to school." And all I heard was, "Go to school." So that's what I did.
Hmm.
I only heard that part until I got to basic training, and the drill sergeant was like, "This is not college. You have to."
Yes,
I need you to redirect your focus.
it came with a little bit more. It's almost as if,
Yes.
that nothing's a free ride. You had to,
Yeah.
that's how you had to pay to
Yeah.
go to school. Wow.
Yeah. I gave you the Cliff Notes version of that story though, because it was really funny. When I look back at it, I was so focused on going to school that that's all I kept saying. Where is the college? Because this is not it.
Well, so here you are. You're
Here I am.
enlisted. You're going to basic training. All of that's going on for you. Did you see the light at some point where, okay, I am learning valuable skills that I may use in the future? Did that at some point come to you? Oh, I think I might have lost you. I hear you. Can you hear
I'm
me?
back. I'm
Yeah.
back. Yes, I'm back. Okay.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you heard me because it dropped out. Did you
No,
hear
I
the
didn't.
question?
I didn't.
Okay. So did the light eventually come while you were doing basic training and then just realize, oh, okay, there's school here. There's skills I'm going to learn. We're going to be okay at some point.
Yes. You know what? The drill sergeant, he literally had to sit me down and he was like, Jonesy, Jonesy, look, when you get to your duty station, that's when you ask your commander to go to school. So he had to really spell it out for me. He explained to me, this is basic training. When you get to the advanced training part, you have to focus on doing that. So my mission, then my thought process shift. So now I had to accomplish what I needed to do in basic training and in AIT. And just knowing the steps, right? Because I was still like, if he hadn't sat me down, I would have been like, okay, where is the college? Where do I sign up for college? But he sat me down when he realized I was so lasered in on it. He was like, no, this is what's going to happen when you get to your final duty station. That's when you can go to school. So after that, I left it alone and I just, continued with the training, just like he
Wow.
laid it out for me. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit for staying on board because, not to use a cliche, wasn't what you signed up for.
It
Right?
wasn't.
That's the way
Yeah.
it turned out. But
Yeah.
you stayed in the military for a long time. How long again?
21 and a half years.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
21 and a half years.
So you saw, and what's interesting is upon leaving, fitness was one of your goals that your passions that you realized that you wanted to
Yeah.
help people with, and then coaching. So it's interesting how our paths, when you take, and I love hearing
Yeah.
stories like yours, just the how the how the journey went, how it started here. I find that when you're at later into the journey, when you start looking at what got you there, it's interesting how a lot of times
Yes.
there's
It's not linear.
no, no, but there are like connections to
Yeah.
what you do. Like if you told me when I was 11 years old and building things and geeking out because I wanted to be on the radio, didn't have any money, single mom raising me and my sister. I taught myself electronics. That's how bad I wanted it. But then I'm sitting here and I look at all this equipment. I don't hire anybody to hook it up. I do it myself because that's what
Yeah.
I learned when I was younger. Why do I need somebody? Yeah, sure, I can hire. I don't want to do that. I like doing it myself and it's custom. And
Yeah.
but I would have never known the stuff I did then as a kid
How it
would
would
get
tie
me
in.
right. So I'm sure if we look, there's threads that go, tentacles,
Yes.
cords that
Yes.
go out that it's
Yeah.
all connected. Um, in in coaching your friend who got out of the military, then was told that she was overqualified. Um, Tell us about her latest path. How did that all go? We started there, but we didn't finish that.
So she went through that. She thankfully for her, she had support. She had the support of her husband and her family. But then when she decided that she wanted to you know get a job, she just pulled back when she kept hearing no's, took a moment, and then she said instinctually she just applied for this job on a Saturday, and
Wow.
that was the job that they called her on Monday, and she said it was perfect because it was literally in her wheelhouse. It was her standing up a new company, and that's basically some of the things that she's done in the military. So it's right in her natural, abilities, and she's going to succeed at it because she's already done it. So it's just on the civilian sector. So she's thriving, and that was one of
Mm,
the things I wanted to celebrate with her because to get beaten down, being told that you're overqualified, we don't know how to translate what you did in the military and all that, and then the perception of military veterans in general, that we can't hire you because you don't you they think you might be militant, how you speak,
Oh,
and all that stuff, right? So I celebrated with her. I told her I was really happy because I understand that feeling. I understand that low point. And it's sometimes challenging to get out of it if you don't have support.
absolutely. I want you to give me 3 words to describe what you learned in your military journey outside of the school part. So, even basic training, all of that going on there, whatever it might be, 3 words to describe. What do you got?
So I will definitely say discipline. I will say persistence, and I will say patience, even though I didn't do very well with that part. But I will tell you, hindsight, there are some times I was forced to be patient. So I will say patience because those 3 words right now are the ones that came up for me.
Yeah, I I kind of knew you were going to say discipline because a lot of people in the military use that word, but it really is true, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is, especially if you're coming from a background where there wasn't a lot of structure, and then you're coming into a system where like you're gonna do it regardless of whether or not you're gonna do it. So you eventually conform, right? You don't have a choice, but you have a choice. You can either go with the flow or you can go against it. But there's repercussions. There's a consequence either way. Do you want the good consequence or the bad consequence?
Mm.
So the discipline piece, I think it's if you say every military person that you've met, it is really a thing. The discipline part is pivotal, just in the structure itself, in the organization itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And the persistence. I mean, you demonstrated that in telling your story. I mean, it was almost as if I won't back down. I'm still moving forward. And listen,
Yeah.
you could have bailed, right? You could have left. You have to do 20 something years, right? You could have jumped out, but you didn't. But you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know why? Because even in being persistent, there were things along the way that were intriguing, that were like, oh, like I was still curious. I was still piqued. Now, I use these words now because I understand, but at the time, I was just literally just moving, moving in that direction. But the military has so much to offer, like so much to offer, very dynamic leaders in some cases, and it's up to you to kind of latch on to those things that's going to take you to the next level. And it's just like with any job, right? You latch on to the things that's going to elevate you. And
Sure.
I'm thankful that that was part of my makeup, to kind of say, okay, I got to wait on this schooling right now, but this is really interesting. I want to do that. I want to do that. I had so many options of the things that I could do.
I believe, and you said you're thankful that we don't practice enough gratitude because we can get to a situation, whether you're churning it out in the military or your job or your journey, and you got something coming up. I got to make a phone call today to somebody. I got to deal with that. I got to take care of that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not loving that moment, but if you go back and look at what you did and what you've done and what it's done for you, then you look at it through, if you put gratitude onto it, an instant
Yes.
different lens, like, oh, all right, well,
Yeah.
I have to make that call today, but I'm making that call because of this that supported and benefited me. And then there was that. And then, oh, wow, I forgot about that. I'm a different person
Yeah.
because of that. I wouldn't even be making this phone call today if I didn't all have that. So I don't think we look at it with thanks and gratitude, because when you do, and
Yeah.
I know it sounds cheesy, I get it, I know,
No, you're
but it
right. I
but it makes a
agree with you.
difference.
Yeah, gratitude opens doors. We talk about gratitude a lot, and I appreciate that because I don't think, like you said, we realize how powerful being grateful is. It's
Yeah.
it's a simple word in some cases. It's just thank you. And sometimes when you read like different I read different things, and you'll hear just say thank you. Some people just want say thank you. And that's so powerful in some cases, but that's one of the things we just
Yeah.
fail to do at times.
Yep. I look for ways to say thanks all the time. Even when I reply on an email, when you think about it, Usually, I'm going to say, 75% of the time, there's a reason to say thanks. And I always
Yes,
started out with it because it's a positive. Hey, thank you for letting me know about that. And then on to the next thought.
yes,
Why wouldn't you?
yes,
It's just
yes.
so how do we find you? Thank you for being here today and sharing everything, by the way. Like, super cool.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I love our conversations.
Same.
I love being here.
Yeah, your energy
Um,
is amazing. So, somebody's going through transition, trying to process all of this kind of stuff. How do they find you?
so I can be found on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Renee Jones Hudson. It's all the same. Or my website is reneejoneshudson.com. And my email is contact@reneejoneshudson.com.
And I want people to know you spell it Renea, correct?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you for that.
No worries at all. Listen, my legal name isn't Steve. I've used it since I was a kid because I started in radio. Because my legal name, it's not even worth the spelling and all that. So whatever. Um, yeah, and Jones Hudson, spelled like it
Yes,
sounds.
yes,
ReneeJonesHudson.com.
yes.
Thank you for today, and looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.